Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast, powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drum, Parker Thune. Lots to talk about: recruiting. Softball girls are not the national champs for the first time in 5 years. Baseball is out in regionals. We're going to talk about both those. Post-Mortem with Diamond Sports. We're going to talk about Oklahoma as the football team heads into summer workouts that started late last week, rolling into the early this week. And we're going to talk about big official visit weekend plus camps, as Parker and I were out and about this past weekend with 7-on-7 and camps and all kinds of stuff. So lots to talk about right here on this OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast, powered by Riverwind Casino. But first, Parker, take it away.
Yes, first want to thank our sponsors, and that starts with Riverwind, which has been the premier gaming destination in the OKC metro for nearly 2 decades. Almost 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Also want to give a shout to our friends at Jana King, which of course is the greatest team to ever clean and a proud partner of OU Athletics, delivering spotless results and solutions from stadiums to any size business across the country. So check out which of those solutions is best for you by going to janaking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And as Father's Day approaches, if you have not yet checked out Brunt Workwear, you're going to want to, because a pair of Brunt boots would make a perfect Father's Day gift. I can personally attest to this. If you got a man in your life, you got a father in your life that you need to get a gift for this Father's Day season, look no further than Brunt. Brunt's founder, Eric, grew up blue collar and started Brunt after his friends in the trades encouraged him to start a workwear brand that was really built for them. That's why all the Brunt products are actually named after the guys he grew up with. So upgrade the hardest working guy you know with boots that are as tough and dependable as he is. Whether he needs waterproof, safety toe, or soft toe, pull on or lace up, Brunt's got him covered. These might be the most comfortable work boots on the planet, and they're built to perform day after day. Plus, Brunt lets dad try him on the job. If they don't blow him away, he can send him back. Now, this Father's Day, our listeners are getting $10 off at Brunt with code OU Insider at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com and use code OU Insider, and you're all set. Brunt didn't just make a durable work boot. They reinvented comfort for the hardest workers out there. Again, bruntworkwear.com. You use code OU Insider. You're getting $10 off after your purchase. They'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Now, Brandon, we got a lot to cover, a lot of ground to cover. Boy, yeah. This might be the most jam-packed podcast for a while, I should say, because let's face it here, we're entering the great drought. OU baseball is over. OU softball is over until Oklahoma hits the gridiron for fall camp at the beginning of August. We're going to have little more than recruiting to talk about, and there will be plenty of recruiting. We will provide all of you consistent updates in that regard here on the Under the Visor podcast, as well as in much greater detail over at OUinsider.com. We're going to talk some recruiting in this podcast, certainly. But I tell you, to watch both Diamond Sports seasons come to an end on the same day, that's a tough pill to swallow for Sooner fans, because there was a lot of hope, especially with the way Oklahoma started out in that Chapel Hill regional with the gem from Malachi Witherspoon, the victory over Nebraska, that, maybe this team will head to Supers, maybe even to Omaha. Skip Johnson has done such a tremendous job with that program, man. And obviously they're at kind of a deficiency with regard to facilities and NIL. And there are other programs in the SEC that are certainly positioned a little bit better than Oklahoma to contend year in and year out in the sport of baseball. But Skip's coaching makes up all of the margin, Brandon, and has for quite some time. He's fantastic at his job, and it's going to be paramount that Oklahoma continues to retain his services. But I think the bigger surprise and the tougher one to stomach yesterday was the loss to Texas Tech in the semifinals of the WCWS for OU women's softball. Look, we knew this team had some issues, some shortcomings. They weren't necessarily the juggernaut, the freight train that they have been in recent years, but
Yeah.
this was still a team that had demonstrated, man, at every turn that they still had that championship DNA. You saw that come through on Ella Parker's magical swing to vault them past Tennessee in walk-off fashion in the opening game of the WCWS. And then it felt for a brief moment there, facing elimination against Texas Tech and Nigel Kennedy, as if there was even just a little bit more Sooner magic left to mine before that WCWS run came to a conclusion. Abby Dayton gets down 0-2 in the seventh inning as Nigel Kennedy's working on a complete game shutout. 2 outs, 2 strikes. You were up against it. She lofts a 2-run homer into the right field bleachers to tie the game. But of course, Texas Tech had the last at bat, and that was all they needed. They scored the winning run in the bottom of the seventh to eliminate Oklahoma, which sets up a Texas Tech finale in the Women's College World Series. So Oklahoma won't be champions for the first time since 2019 in the sport of softball. And it's what makes this particularly tough to witness and to swallow in the aftermath, Brandon, is that Nigel Kennedy was that close to being a Sooner. And I don't think there's any question that if you throw Nigel Kennedy on this team, Oklahoma's winning a 5th straight national championship. As
Fifth
it
and
was,
sixth.
as it is, Sam Landry, man, she pitched her tail off throughout the WCWS for Oklahoma. She
Yeah.
kind of had to. It was all on her shoulders. She was the only reliable arm that Patty Gasso had. If you can complement the fantastic work that she did throughout the season with the absolutely incredible individual campaign that Nigel Kennedy has had, it's not even a contest. Oklahoma's blowing everybody else out of the water.
I'm sitting here looking up their recruiting for softball because essentially Oklahoma has 9 freshmen that played significant, you know, innings at bats, made significant plays for them throughout the year. 3 sophomores and 3 seniors, right? Like I believe that's the roster makeup. Am I correct on that? To an extent, hit or miss a few here or there. I think it's mostly a freshman team, correct?
Yes, there are 9 freshmen on
Yeah,
this
that's what
team.
I said. That's what I said.
9
9
freshmen.
freshmen. But let's dive into this because yeah, it's great. You have Nigel Kennedy. You win your 5th and 6th national championship. I don't think anybody comes close to Oklahoma if she's pitching for OU. I think we all agree with that, right? I don't think there's anybody that can dispute that. They made it that far. And that's not a knock on Sam Landry. Like, she was amazing. She was throughout the, she was an All-American. She was amazing. She's not Nigel Kennedy, but she's amazing. Kennedy is a once in a lifetime pitcher. She is. Pause. The tornado sirens are going off. Okay, well, the tornado threat is passed. Sirens were going off in the mid-sentence there. Didn't expect that to happen. This thing blew up really fast around here, obviously.
Brandon is safe. The rest of you stay safe. No one's
Yeah,
listening to
for
this
real.
live, but there's going to be a lot of storms in Oklahoma the next week or so.
Yeah, when we turned it off, it was right east of here going over the outlets. So, yeah, good stuff. Anyways, Nigel Kennedy, we were talking about Nigel Kennedy. She's really good at softball. And if
Yeah.
Oklahoma would have paid the $1 million or whatever for her, they would have had her for 2 years and probably another 2 national championships and would have pissed off the rest of the world even more. That being said, what I was getting at prior to the chaos that is Oklahoma weather, here is, according to softball rankings, here's what Oklahoma has coming in, Parker, for next year.
Yeah,
With
it's
the
going to be
9
funny.
freshmen, it's stupid. It's stupid. Patty Gasso is ridiculous. Kendall Wells, 5th overall in the country, right?
You have Alyssa
Sophia,
Parker from Pecola.
yeah, Sophia Bordy. I'm kind of going back a little. I'm just
Yes.
kind of talking. Sophia Bordy, 12th overall. She's a pitcher, but you need Kendall Wells as a catcher, which kind of was an issue as well this year. Uh, Berkeley Zash, number 14 overall, pitcher. And then here's where it gets crazy. Kaya Minor, number 1 overall player in the country, outfielder. Alyssa Parker, as you talked about, out of Picola, the number 2 overall player in the country. She's a pitcher. And then Lexi McDaniel out of Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri, the number 3 overall. So 1, 2, 3, and 5 are going to Oklahoma. And then 12 and 13. Mind blown. They'll
Yeah,
be back.
I think it was
They'll
Kevin
be
Brown.
back.
I think it was Kevin Brown on ESPN's coverage that said Texas Tech ended the dynasty. Texas Tech did not end the dynasty. They
No.
might have ended the run of consecutive championships. Definitely did not end the dynasty.
Yeah, that seems premature. It's like the people that are talking about the Oklahoma State Thunder and trying to call them a dynasty before they win it all. This it's everything's premature, and in the opposite direction. Oklahoma's won 4 in a row. They have how many All Americans were of those freshmen? Parker, was there 2, 3, several All SEC for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
There's quite a bit. I mean, they were really good. The point is America. You may think that Oklahoma softball is on the outs. You all thought the same back in 2017, right? I believe. Is that when Oklahoma lost in the national title last time? No, 2018. 2017, 2018, I believe they lost, right? Correct?
Didn't they lose 2019 to UCLA in the final?
Maybe it was 2019. I thought they won in 2019. Did they not?
They did not. They did not.
Okay. See, they've won so much that we don't know what years they've won.
It's really hard to keep track of, isn't it?
They've won 8 out of the last 10, right?
Yes. Again, 2019 was the last year they didn't win the
7 out of the last
championship
10.
because 20 was COVID and they've won every year since 21.
Mm-hmm. So point being is America, enjoy Texas Tech. It ain't happening again. I'm calling my shot, Parker, and I feel like my odds are pretty good to be right. Just going off history. But yeah,
what do you think is going to be tougher for OU fans to swallow? Obviously, like you don't want to see Mike White and Texas win a title if you're an OU.
Oh God, you cheer for Texas Tech,
but if Texas Tech wins, and this is something that seems to be a very preeminent concern amongst OU fans, doesn't that kind of signal that you can now buy a title in softball?
There's not very many. No, because there's not very many Nigel Kennedys out there.
That is true.
Who else are you going to bring in that you could carry a team like that?
Well, what that demonstrates, though, is like the reason Texas Tech was able to get Nigel Kennedy is because they were willing to invest far more into their softball program than they ever have before. So, I mean, does that send a message to the rest of America that if you want to take softball that seriously, as far as the financial component, you too can quote unquote purchase a title?
I don't know. There's something to be said about culture. There's something to be said about, I mean, look what Patty Gasso has coming in. You still have to contend with the fact that if Oklahoma goes and offers, yeah, great, you won Texas Tech or Texas, whatever. If Oklahoma comes calling, if Patty Gasso comes calling, all these kids for like the next 10 years have known is the fact that Oklahoma dominates softball, and that's where you want to go. Nobody, if you're going to do that, that's great. But what also makes OU softball so significantly better than everybody else is the facilities. It's everything that it encompasses. It's how they treat the nutrition, the weights and training, everything that they have as far as facilities is better than everybody else. You don't get that anywhere else but Oklahoma. Correct? Like, I don't think that's can be disputed. So if you're going to invest, it can't just be you go buy these players. Well, if they can't train as much as what Oklahoma players get to train and as well as they get to train, you're buying, but how are they going to be as good as the players that are similar in talent that get to work more often and with better equipment and with better training and better coaches? You see what I'm saying? Like
No
at
doubt. Yeah.
some point there's a leveling out, and I think Patty Gasso kind of levels that out. Um, Nigel Kennedy levels everything out. Like that's just being called what it is. Like, is she the best softball player to come out in the last 15 years?
I mean, look, I'm going to be completely honest. Obviously, I did not pay much attention to softball until I moved to the state of Oklahoma.
You
And
got to see Lauren Chamberlain. You got to see Jocelyn Allo. So you have a pretty good barometer
as far as pitchers go, I mean, Nigel Kennedy is the most dominant I've seen.
for sure.
She feels about as untouchable as anyone in this. Like, not only that, I think she might be better at what she does than anyone in college sports is at what they do right this second.
Here's a question. Do you blame OU for not paying for Nigel Kennedy, or do you blame Jordy Ball's significant other, fiance, husband, for making her move? Because if OU had Jordy Ball, they win.
I don't think Jordy Ball's significant other made her move.
I understand that. You understand what I'm saying, though. It's you get it. If she didn't have the significant other, how about that?
I mean, yeah, again, it's kind of the same deal as Nigel Kennedy, right? You add Jordy Ball to this Oklahoma squad in 2025. You're not talking about a team that just makes the national semifinals. You're talking about a team that's taking home a fifth straight national title.
Yes.
But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, you know.
Correct. Correct. Baseball. Watch the game on Saturday night. That was fun. They're
Saturday night, no, that was not fun. Or wait,
You're thinking Sunday. Sunday was not fun. Or was it Saturday? Friday? Was it Friday that I watched it? No, it was
Saturday night.
Saturday.
Saturday
Saturday
night
they
was the
won.
night they got smoked.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was Sunday night.
Then Sunday they won two. Monday
Okay. So
they lost
my
the
days are all
finale.
screwed up because I haven't been home, obviously. So yesterday felt like because we were at that camp, so I kept thinking yesterday was Sunday. Okay, rewind. Yes, Sunday was not fun, or Sunday was fun. Watched it Sunday. Those bats were hot. They lit in North Carolina. I mean, that was awesome. Yesterday was a butt kicking. It
Yes.
was at one point it was 8-2,
The
which
final
it ended at
scores.
14-4.
Yeah,
So I
final
mean,
score is 14-4.
yeah. So I mean, whatever. But um, that they're young as well. So that's the good thing with this thing. Skip Johnson has that program rolling. Like this year wasn't supposed to be the year that they even. I don't. They were they even supposed to be as good as they got at one point? Because I remember being
I
shocked how high they got ranked at one point because they got hot early.
I think the season genuinely was about commensurate with what reasonable expectations were. You were going to play in a regional. It was probably asking a little bit too much to make it out of that regional,
Yeah.
especially against a team like North Carolina, right? All in all, you play in a regional every single year, you're going to be generally pleased, I would say. And this never seemed like a team that truly had the juice to make an Omaha run.
No.
Yeah, everybody that makes the postseason has a shot, right? And you're seeing this right now with Murray State and UTSA, the two Cinderellas of the baseball postseason. They're still alive and still kicking, and that's great. All right, but for instance, you go back to 2022 at that Oklahoma team that made a run all the way to the CWS final. That was a team that had CWS final type talent. Yes, they were well coached. Yes, they got standout individual performances game in and game out from some of the more reliable contributors in that lineup. Most notably, I think Peyton Graham, who was just absolutely
Their
lights
pitching
out.
was awesome too.
Yeah, pitching
One
was
of them just got
fantastic with
called
Jake
up.
with Jake Bennett and Cade Horton.
Yep. Horton just got
Um,
called up.
but that was a team that I think the following month, like 10 or 11 members of that team got drafted.
Yep.
And so you could tell looking at the makeup of that team that this is a contender. I don't feel like you felt that way looking at this Oklahoma team on paper. Again, all it takes is getting hot at the right time, certainly. But save for Kyson Witherspoon, and Easton Carmichael, who's also really, really freaking good. And
I was going
Malachi
to
has
ask you, do you think they stay?
Malachi has had his moments as well. But outside of those guys, it didn't really feel like Oklahoma had the top end talent necessary to really legitimize yourself as a CWS contender. So they will reload. Skip always does. Feels like you need a little bit more star power to get over the hump, and that might necessitate some additional investment into the program, which Skip and his staff they deserve at this point.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
do.
whatever they get, they have earned.
Yep.
But I think what you take solace in is the fact that the vast majority of this team will return. You're going to bring back a lot of guys that played key roles for this team in 2025.
Does Kyson Witherspoon stay?
Absolutely the heck not.
Not even,
He's
not
going to be a
even.
top 10 draft pick. It's not happening.
Well, here's my plea here. What about your brother, Malachi?
Well,
No
he's
twin
probably getting
left
drafted too.
behind.
He's probably getting drafted too.
You think he leaves?
Yes.
You think they both
I
leave?
think the guys that leave are the
I think yeah,
Witherspoons,
Carmichael leaves
Carmichael,
for sure.
obviously, and then Dylan Tate, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
Dylan Tate gets drafted and wants
That
to
you
bounce.
lose those four, that sucks. That sucks bad. Because Witherspoon, I mean, Kyson was where so Kyson, potential first round pick. Malachi, third, fourth, fifth ish, you think?
I honestly don't know enough, and I haven't sourced enough information about the scouting reports on those guys. Like, I think everybody knows Kyson Witherspoon is going to be off the board very quickly.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know where the rest of those guys fall.
It's kind of like Peyton in 2022. You knew he was going off the board very, very quickly. And yeah.
I mean,
Um,
there is only well, there's legit as I looked through it, and I had to reconfirm this. There's legit only one senior
yeah, you were looking at the roster like I was.
that's a
Yeah.
position player. Scott
Yeah.
Mudler, the catcher.
Mm-hmm.
You have a few seniors in the pitching rotation. Jamie Hitt graduates. Obviously, you're going to lose Dylan Crooks. But as far as position players, as far as bats, you only lose one senior, and again, probably Easton Carmichael because he's going to get drafted.
Your pitching is where you kind of outside of the Witherspoons. Your pitching is where I felt like Oklahoma needed a little more oomph in the
Yeah, I
lineup.
think it's a perennial struggle, right? Everybody
Mhm.
in the nation feels like they could use more pitching.
For sure.
It's something you feel like you never quite have enough of, especially when you get to the back end of a regional, and everybody inevitably is just kind of scraping it together.
It's like it's almost like offensive line and defensive line in football. You always feel like you could use more at those two positions. And speaking of that, talk about a segue. Let's go.
Well done,
Um, Thank you. Um,
Jonah Williams.
no, I'm not going there. Um, Speaking of, um, you were at the OU camp.
Yeah,
You can talk about that first because I was Parker went to the OU camp because it was one of the more lighter roster camps as far as like big talent went on this Sunday, and then I went down for the first two sessions at SMU mega camp, which was not light in the britches; it was loaded, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But Parker, go ahead and talk about what you saw at SMU, or excuse me, at Oklahoma camp on Sunday evening.
yeah. I mean, first off, Matthew Nelson showed up. He was kind of the big ticket item. Three-star defensive end out of Bryant, Arkansas. That's going to return to OU this coming weekend for his official. Big time target for the staff. Feel good about where things stand. I did forewent, I suppose, a
Yeah,
planned official visit to Tulsa in order to get down to Oklahoma for the first time, get some in-person coaching from Miguel Chavis. Hey, his younger brother's a monster, man. I'm
really.
really excited to see what his younger brother turns into because He's young. He's a year younger, so he's 2027, rising junior. He's shorter than Matthew. He's about 6'3", but he's more built. He's about 220 weight wise. He only has one offer right now from Central Arkansas. That's going to change
Hmm.
because he is a talented dude. He had probably 15 to 20 reps in one-on-ones. He didn't lose more than 3 or 4 of them, man.
Wow.
Phenomenal, phenomenal edge rusher. And he's going to get the chance to eat this coming season because he's going to play opposite Matthew Nelson. And obviously, like, let's assume for the sake of the hypothetical that Matthew Nelson's committed to Oklahoma by then. Everybody, when they scout Bryant High School, they're going to make sure they account for the OU commit coming off the edge. The guy on the other side, on the other hand, he's probably going to have a little bit easier time and probably won't face that same scrutiny and same level of forethought when it comes
Hmm.
to game planning to neutralize him. So Sam Nelson, man, super intrigued to see what the next year holds for him because I legit think he could be an OU guy as well in a year's time. So we will see what comes of that. There were a few offers handed out. Trey Britton, a wide receiver from the state of Michigan, same high school as Deion Burks, as a matter of fact, Belleville, Michigan. He came down on an offer. He's a 2027 cat that's got 20 plus offers now. OU offered Jackson Roper, an offensive lineman from the state of
Mm-hmm.
Colorado. He had a nice day.
He's really close with the Sawchucks, by the way.
Really?
About Roper for a
Yeah,
long
and he's
time.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
he trains with Deacon Schmidt, who's
Yep.
obviously one of Oklahoma's priority targets at offensive line in the 2026 class. So, not a stellar crop relative to what the next three camps probably will be. In an overall sense, it wasn't necessarily talent dense, but really good opportunity to see a few guys that are legit OU good, as evidenced by the fact that they picked up the offer. They also had a guy that will inevitably be one of the top offensive tackles in the 2028 class, Cohen Dial from the state of Tennessee.
Hmm.
He already has Ohio State. He's got Georgia. He's got some enormous offers. And OU is the latest. He came and camped. And if you saw this kid in person, there's no way you would figure, yeah, that's a freshman in high school. Yeah, he's a grown man, 6'8".
What?
Yeah, yeah, 6'8". And I don't know where he's at weight wise. I think sheer size, he's got to be at least in the neighborhood of 300 pounds, if not larger. But he is one big dude and had a really solid day. Sam Nelson did get the better of him on a couple of occasions, though. So those were the guys that stood out.
Interesting. Well, the I guess the biggest weekend for Oklahoma, I was told, was the 5th, and I think the 12th are going to be the
Those
biggest.
Thursday camps then.
Yeah, those two Thursday camps are going to be the biggest. And I think there's one on do they have one on the Saturday, on a Saturday, if I remember correctly, or a
They
Sunday?
do not have one on a Saturday. So
Which
it's
I
the
think
fifth,
that was just a big miss by them by not doing that, by the
the
way.
fifth, 12th, 13th.
Okay, so it's the 12th and the 13th. So those are the three I was told that are going to be just huge for
Yeah.
them, particularly the 5th. I do know that um trying to think who's coming on the 5th. The 12th, there's a couple of guys that are going to be there. A couple of them were at SMU. Or one of them in particular that will be there on the 5th, mind you, or at least this is what he says he's going to do, is one of the top 2027 running backs in the country in Jeremiah Dent out of Marion, Arkansas. Um, he has, I'm going to pull up his offers for you real quick. He was awesome. He earned an SMU offer the other day at the SMU camp. He's got North Carolina State, Oklahoma State, SMU, Arkansas, um, and those are kind of the biggest schools right now. But he's supposedly going to Tennessee. Oh, Purdue. Purdue's also offered him. He's going to Tennessee, and Tennessee's already promised him an offer. He goes out there and he just runs. He ran a 4.52.
Not bad.
No, and essentially that's what got him the offer. So, um, yeah, there was a couple guys. I thought Eli Johnson looked really good yesterday.
as
Not
he
shocking.
typically does.
Yeah, he ran
Super
a
impressive
4.48,
specimen.
4.48. No big deal. No big deal. Yeah, yeah,
2027 safety, by
yeah.
the way, from
2027
from
safety. Yeah.
Cibolo Steel.
Yep. Um, Ish Kamara out of Gilmore, 2027 offensive lineman, dominated. There, I have a video.
You're
I
a
have
big
a,
ish guy.
I love it. You know I do. I love Ish. I watched him yesterday. He went up against the best defensive lineman. Like they put him up against the best. And I kid you not, the dude got two steps and could not move. It just stood him up. And the guy that he went up against had offers from a bunch of P5 schools. But that's how good Ish is. I think Ish is going to be a top 50 player in the country when it's all said and done. Am I overhyping? Maybe. I like him a lot. I like him a lot. There's a reason why everybody's offering him. Everybody's offering him. And from what I'm told locally, he's very high on Oklahoma's board.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very high on Oklahoma's board. Um, Trying to think, I got a couple other guys. There's a kid that is a 2026 kid out of First Academy in Orlando named CJ McCoy, who looked phenomenal. As a matter of fact, I think he picked up a bunch of offers yesterday. He was really, really good. And then, I mean, there was a bunch of guys. There are a lot of younger cats that OU is going to be in on. Uh, and the reason why we go down to these mega camps like this is Parker, you can vouch for this because we get eyes on 28 and 29 kids that are from the Dallas area that normally you don't get your eyes on. And so there was a lot of 28, 29 kids. We're not going to bore you with that,
Mm-hmm.
that we made note of while we were there. And I can tell you this, Oklahoma's going to be in on a lot of them. The OU staff was there. We will tell you that.
For the
They were there.
first time since 2021.
Yes, they were there and they were scouting like crazy. And they were there putting eyes on everybody, as was Oregon, as was Notre Dame, as was Michigan. So, I mean, OU wasn't the only big dog down there, but um, Zane Rose showed up, didn't do
Just hanging
anything,
out. Didn't even
hanging
camp.
out.
Just hanging out.
Oregon followed him around like a lost puppy dog. It was hilarious, as they should. I would too if I was them. And you were looking for a top flight defensive end, that's where you go to Zane Rowe, former OU commit for the 2027 class. And for before anybody in your head, you're thinking, is OU still on him? Yes. Actually, very high. As a matter of fact, I think he's coming to an OU camp.
It
Which
wouldn't
doesn't,
shock me at all.
no,
He's
that's what he
that dude
does.
is about the smoke, man. He is everywhere.
He's about to smoke. Um, I think Ish Kamara is going to be there on the 12th, I believe, to camp at Oklahoma. According to what he said. We'll see. Um, so who was the other guy that I really, really liked that showed out quite a bit? Um, there's a 2028 quarterback, Carter Zingelman, that looked really good. That everybody, I got to see him 3 years ago at FBU, and he has changed his throwing motion, but he looks the exact same as he did as an eighth grader. He's always been about 6'5", just a grown ass man. Just what he is. He's a really good player though. So, dang Parker, who else did we watch that we were talking about that we liked a lot? Hmm. Anyways, lots. There was lots. I gotta
We
know.
may
I
have
just
run it dry, but that's fine
Yeah.
because we have several other topics of conversation on the recruiting show that we can hit because
Yep.
although Oklahoma did not host any official visitors this past weekend, there were plenty of targets on the OU board that were taking official visits elsewhere. And a
Ooh.
couple of them decided
Sorry.
to lock it down and commit elsewhere. Ben Wenzel to Wisconsin, Caden Hall to Florida.
Yeah, that hurt.
Uh-huh. Wenzel, of course, the three-star linebacker target from Appleton, Wisconsin, and Hall, the four-star safety from down in Orlando, Milton High School. So
The
those guys are done. The guy that didn't commit though the guy that didn't commit on his visit.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal news as far as OU is concerned. Bo Bentley did not shut it down and pick LSU. So the feeling from the OU side is and has been, Brandon, hey, as long as he doesn't commit while he's at LSU, we like our chances to get it done with him once he gets up to Norman. And so there you go. Step one, phase one, complete. Bo Bentley did not commit to LSU while in Baton Rouge.
That's good news. And there is a chance, and I'm sending a text out right now to see if we can get this confirmed. That so Jaden O'Neal is at um Tulsa right now, Owasso, doing the Mustang team camp, right? I believe there's a chance that he may go down to OU on Thursday for their camp. Potential on Thursday, do their camp, and then go back up and do um the scrimmage with Owasso on Friday. Potential. That would be a big deal if Oklahoma could get Jaden O'Neal down there for the camp on the 5th. But because Jaden O'Neal's dad was at the SMU camp
He was.
with OJ. Talked to him for quite a bit. Yeah, the Arizona visit. We'll get to the Bo Bentley thing because I think that's pretty, crucial that we do. But they liked Arizona, but I still think that I still think it's Florida State, Oklahoma, Parker.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe I got yesterday talking to people.
What it feels like.
Yeah. I think Arizona tried and they did all they could. We'll see where that goes. But as far as Bo Bentley goes, Parker, you got to feel good. Like you said, you got to feel good about the quarterback situation in 2026, one way or the other. You just do. You would like to keep, if you're Ben Arbuckle, you want both. And right now it feels like you're going to get one or the other and the chances of you getting both seems like it's getting better and better, Parker. Does it not? Does it not feel like it's trending in a much better direction for both? I know it's hard. We're not
Much
saying
better direction, no.
You don't think so?
Like, no. Much better. Better, sure. Better, sure. But this obviously all precedes the all-important OU official this weekend for Bo Bentley, which is going to tell us a lot about where this thing lands in the end.
Yeah. I guess for me, I was thinking more on the Jaden O'Neal side of him sticking because it kind of feels like you don't commit to LSU, right? And I know you've had Nussmeier, right? And you've had a Heisman in the last few years, Rookie of the Year, all that stuff, right? Awesome. However, LSU's missed the last few cycles on the guys that they really, really wanted, right?
Well, Bryce Underwood, yes.
Oh yeah, but that was the biggest miss you could possibly have, right?
I don't even know whether I would fairly categorize that as a miss, though. Michigan very publicly
Yeah, they stole him
paid
from
him
paid
a
him
bonkers amount of money. What can you do at that point? You know.
But if you're LSU and Bo Bentley leaves, you can't feel great.
No, I mean, you might feel optimistic, but there's a difference between optimism and confidence. If you're LSU, you're certainly not confident with the knowledge that Bo Bentley is going this weekend to take an OV with the program he grew up rooting for.
No, that's you've got to be biting your fingernails very, very, very hard right now and very nervous. This felt a lot like, and the perfect analogy for me, and it's quite present of what just happened with Oklahoma with Caden Hall. Like you felt like if he got out of and got a few days away from the official visit without committing to Florida, you would feel pretty good about him getting to Oklahoma in a few weeks. Well, that didn't happen. Now that, and it's kind of on the opposite end, but they kind of ring true for my analogy here. But if you're LSU with Bo Bentley, you're not feeling great because you know that he wants to get this thing over with and be committed somewhat quickly after he's done with his official visits.
Hmm.
And it doesn't feel like this is trending in a direction that you would feel great about if you're LSU, just because the relationship he has with John Mateer. I think that's a big deal. He grew up being an Oklahoma fan, wanting to go to Oklahoma. So now this is everything that this kid ever dreamed about.
Hmm.
And he gets to compare that to his trip to LSU. I'm interested to know how much NIL is going to play into this and how much OU is going to be willing to spend on that, because you have to get two. And Jaden O'Neal's not going to be cheap. Bo Bentley's not going to be cheap. Getting two top 250 kids in one class is not going to be easy, nor is it going to be cheap. Is Jim Nagy and company going to be willing to provide for both in the ways that they are probably both going to want to be provided for? Or do you think Bo Bentley is going to be willing to take a cut to go to Oklahoma, knowing what LSU is going to be throwing at him? Because they have excess money because they lost out on Bryce
Yeah.
Underwood last year.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is the area in which I think the most concern lies. The knowledge that LSU doesn't have a Bryce Underwood on the payroll and that
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be able to make Bo Bentley a very lucrative offer. Now, okay, here's what it kind of reminds me of. And I'm not trying to say the outcome will be the same because it may not be. But you remember a couple years back when Michael Hawkins for several months was down to OU and TCU?
Yeah.
It was one or the other. And look, he committed in April, so that whole process was over before official visits. But end of the day, there came a moment in Michael Hawkins' recruitment where he just kind of came face to face with the reality that, man, this is legit all I've ever wanted. This is what I've dreamed of. Playing quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, this is what I've aspired to my entire childhood and adolescence. Why wouldn't I jump at this opportunity? And it feels like Bo Bentley is in a similar situation, right? Where and Michael Hawkins loved Kendall Briles at TCU. Loved, like, that was the whole reason for the attachment to TCU specifically. And so Bo Bentley's in a similar spot where you have a very alluring pitch here at LSU, but is LSU going to be able to overcome the reality that playing at the University of Oklahoma is the thing that Bo Bentley has always wanted to do?
That's tough.
I don't like it's impossible to say where this lands because how many
Mm-hmm.
times in years past have we seen guys that grew up OU fans go to another school? Peyton Pierce springs to mind, right? Felt like there wasn't a prayer in the world that any school was going to pry him away from Oklahoma. Well, Ohio State did it. But it also conjures up memories of a guy like Dylan Raiola, who realized a week before signing day, having been committed to the reigning national champions
Yeah.
at that time for nearly 8 months. Hey, I've got to go to Nebraska. It's in my blood. It's always been my aspiration. I want to be part of the resurgence at that institution. Screw everything else. I'm going to go be a Cornhusker.
Mm-hmm.
Is that sense of is that calling going to eventually kind of light a fire within Bo Bentley and make this decision for him? I don't know, but you never ignore the fandom component and you never treat it as insignificant because it's not. It means something. And I also tend to think that for a guy like Bentley, who as a quarterback is going to get paid wherever he goes, provided he ascends to the starting role in particular, NIL may not loom as large as that childhood dream that 5, 6 year old Bo had.
Yeah. I mean, this is this is where back in the day these things didn't come into play. Like if a kid dreamed of playing at a school, they went to the school. The money aspect changes so much.
It does. Well, and like let's also acknowledge opportunity
Yeah,
is
that's
a
true.
huge aspect of LSU's pitch and a good one, right? We didn't
Yeah.
take a quarterback in the 2025 class.
No, because you didn't try.
You are our guy in 2026. You're going to have the chance to be a multi-year starter here. We've had two Heisman Trophy winners in the last 6 seasons at the quarterback position. Garrett Nussmeier's prime for a huge year in 2025. We got it rolling down here, and we'll surround you with a bunch of stud wide receivers.
I mean, that's a great pitch. I mean, the wide receiver, you outside of Ohio State, that's LSU. I mean, not really disputable either. So, um, the other, the Caden Hall issue, safety, 4-star safety, just committed to. I mean, it felt like Florida after the visit. We know what we know of that situation. Oklahoma
Well,
did
okay,
everything they
but
could to stop that.
it felt like Florida was the trend, right? Like,
Mhm.
didn't feel like Florida was going to get the imminent commitment from Caden Hall, but
No, not after what. That's what I was about to say. Not after what we knew yesterday. Like it felt like the visit to Oklahoma was still going to get done. We don't know what happened between that time yesterday and as we started a podcast. So I mean, something happened, but the good news is that Oklahoma's in a good position for several other safeties, right? And if they choose to do so, if they so choose to go the route of paying for Celeste Moa, they could also get him.
oh my
His
goodness,
family
pay
wants
for
him.
Celeste Moa. That is, I'm
His family
banging the
wants him in
table.
Norman.
I'm banging the table, Brandon.
I understand. This is
Pay
one of the
Celeste Moa.
best
Love
phrases
that
ever.
kid.
I I agree. And if you talk to people around Norman, they agree. It's just Michigan and a couple other schools are offering extra, just an inordinate amount of money to this kid that you normally don't offer safeties. Oklahoma's gotten top safeties for far less. And I'm not just talking top safeties, I'm saying the best safeties. Outside of Caleb Downs in 2023, guess who the best safety was? Peyton Bowen. And Oklahoma got him for far less than what is being offered to Celeste Moa. Similarly, Amarian Robinson was right around the 5-star range with rivals. Oklahoma got him for far less than what Celeste Moa is being offered for Michigan and a couple other places. I'm telling y'all this. Like, this is the weird part about it. And he's not even a 5-star. That's the crazy part about it, but he's really freaking good.
He's good enough to be a 5-star.
Yeah, I won't dispute that. But you have Jacob Eberhard out of Missouri that Oklahoma is pushing real hard coming in on June 20th. You have
Oh,
obviously,
is he coming in on June 20th?
yeah,
Okay. There you go.
I guess I never reported that, but I'll get it up on our board real quick. So, I thought I reported that. Um, so he's coming in on the 20th. You have, you
And if you're not
had,
familiar with Eberhard, sorry to interject. If you're not
oh,
familiar
he's
with
4-star.
Eberhard, that's another Boganowski type. Linebacker
Yes.
body, safety skills.
Stud. Fits the SEC perfectly. Um, Braden Presley coming in also. Essentially, all the safety targets are coming in on the 20th. Even Nico Jandro, the OU commit. So
Yeah.
they're all going to be there. Um, that's good. I would not be shocked to hear of another few names pop up that Oklahoma might push to get in on campus to try to fill in that last position. As far as defensive line goes, you have Tavion Branch out of, I, I, I want to say Taylor,
It is,
Pennsylvania, which is
yes,
Scranton. Yeah, Scranton.
Riverside.
Yeah,
Riverside High School.
Scranton. It's in by Scranton, Pennsylvania, suburb of Scranton, Pennsylvania, or in Scranton, Pennsylvania, one or the other. But
The Electric City.
yeah, home of Michael Scott, Dunder Mifflin. Um, it's down to OU and Rutgers, and I know OU fans, you hear that. I don't want to say Penn State's not in it because we haven't heard whether that official visit isn't taking place, but he's announcing, I believe, on June 11th, and his OU visit is on June 6th. He just got done with his Rutgers visit. and the Penn State visit is on June 13th.
You ever covered an OU Rutgers battle, Brandon? I don't think I have.
I didn't cover it, but if I remember correctly, there was a wide receiver that was down to OU and Rutgers. He's from New Jersey.
DeJuan Miller?
There you go.
Hey.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Mind and guess what? Guess who was the head coach at Rutgers at that time as well?
It was Greg Schiano.
Greg Schiano. So everybody that looks at that and they're like, "Oh, Rutgers! I can't believe Oklahoma's competing with Rutgers." Do you all remember what Greg Schiano turned Rutgers into?
Yeah, they were good there for a minute. The Ray
Right.
Rice years.
He was beating teams, not women, at that time.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I mean, is it wrong? Huh?
No comment. Moving right along.
Well, I mean, he's the one that got himself in that trouble, not me. Um, anyways, so yeah, the Ray Rice not situation, but the Ray Rice teams were really good. Who else did they have on those teams? I feel
Oh,
like they were loaded with NFL back then. Like they were loaded.
yeah, they had some NFL dudes. Mike Teal was a quarterback they had that he had a cup of coffee in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think who else. There were a few others.
They had a couple wide receivers that were really good too. Um, and linebackers. If I remember, they had a really good linebacker.
Yeah. I mean, Greg Schiano has gotten the best out of Rutgers football.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever Rutgers football's peak is, it's been during the Greg Schiano years.
Yeah, that's very true. And the weird part is wasn't like Rutgers like the beginning of football?
Yes. Yes, correct. 1869.
Yeah, it's crazy. You would think they'd be better, but uh, the point being is that you can't scoff at the Rutgers thing because Penn State offered him. If you go look at like, I guess pull up Tavion Branch's offers,
Yeah. I
they're
mean,
pretty significant, and
and
they're legit offers too.
well, and the one thing that you shouldn't discount with a kid like this is, man, Rutgers is a lot closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
And that matters.
It
It
does.
always matters to varying degrees for different kids, but Pennsylvania is so freaking far away from Oklahoma, man.
It is.
It is so far away. I
The
mean, that was when we went up there to cover the West Virginia game in 2022. That
yeah.
was a 45-minute flight to Dallas and then 3+ hours up to Pittsburgh.
Let's
I mean, it,
go there again this year too. Temple.
yeah, that's right. Up to Philly. So man, like proximity should not be ignored. And I know that there are a lot of OU fans that don't love to hear that because they think, well, the OU brand should outweigh any concerns about geography or anything like that. And it's fine for you to say, but it's the kid's life and his circumstances. There may
Yep.
be circumstances that compel him to want to play a little bit closer to home. So OU Rutgers, man, who would have thought? But here we are.
He took an official to Oklahoma State.
He did, yes.
So that actually has to bode well for OU. I'm sorry, but like
I
to
think
me,
it was just like it was a free trip though.
yeah, but
Like,
you got to think he's willing to take the visit though. You're already like if OU is significantly that high up, maybe you're trying to get a good feel for the state of Oklahoma in general. I don't know. Maybe I'm throwing things around here, but his offers, by the way, are ridiculous. Penn State, OU, obviously Rutgers, Oklahoma State, Alabama, Duke, Kentucky, Maryland, Notre Dame, Pitt, South Carolina, Syracuse, Temple, UConn, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Wisconsin. Boston College is also in there. Like his offer list is really really good.
yeah, for
Didn't
a
he
three
win the
star,
MVP?
pretty dang solid.
And he won the MVP, I believe, at Under Armour camp, right? D-line MVP,
Did he?
correct? Did he not? I thought he
I don't know.
did.
I was not up there.
Anyway, I thought I saw that he did. I thought I read it. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I do
I,
recall he tested really well. I don't know if he won MVP or not, but I know he tested really well. Checked in at 6'4", 295, I think.
mhm. I'm looking it up right now. So, um,
Real time research, folks. That's what we're about.
Yep. Nope, he did not. It was it? Okay, so I guess Wadiq Collier won it, but
Oh, and he's
he was,
committed to Rutgers.
yep. So there's that, and he's one of the top players in the country, by the way, at defensive tackle. So it's, again, this is actually helping our point that their Rutgers is actually recruiting at it, and I think they recruited pretty well last year too, didn't they? Did they
They
not have
did.
like
They had
one of
a
the
they
top?
yeah. They had a like again for Rutgers,
Yep.
pretty impressive class.
I'm looking up their stuff for last year. Look at this. Like we're
They lost several commits too to much bigger schools. Like I remember there's a kid that flipped from Rutgers to Georgia. I
mhm.
think they lost a kid to Ohio State. I think they lost a kid to Penn State. So they evaluated really well, and the guys that were in their ballpark, they had a very successful time reeling them in.
They had a top 30 class, which is for Rutgers is
Top
significant.
30 for Rutgers, man. That's legendary.
They had a bunch of four stars, so I mean,
Did they really?
and
A
yeah, they had,
bunch?
well, for them, four.
Didn't they get Kamar Archie? Wasn't that a linebacker that Oklahoma was involved with for a while? I'm pretty sure Kamar Archie was in that class for Rutgers.
He was. I remember that being, everybody was pissed off that he chose Rutgers, or shocked that he chose Rutgers over, I believe it was Oklahoma. Was the other
No, it
one?
was like by the end of it, it was Rutgers and Clemson.
Oh, that's right. Oh, there you go. Clemson losing battles to Rutgers. Didn't they just make the playoffs?
They
Clemson.
did.
Yeah.
Rutgers coming for everybody.
Everybody, them and SMU.
Nobody's
Uh,
safe from the Rutgers machine.
them and SMU, I'm telling you. And I'm letting everybody know, just being straight up honest from what I know and what I saw this weekend. The reason why SMU is doing what they're doing is because they're willing to, not willing, that's a bad word. They put in a lot of due diligence and work, and they're really good at relationships.
And having a
We're,
lot of money also helps.
well, yes, but that the relationship part compounded with money is what is helping them win.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to have the biggest personnel staff in the P4, right? How many
It's,
employees do they have running around in that operation, man?
I don't
It
know.
is an all hands on deck type effort as far as recruiting and
Five of them showed our 7-on-7 team around on Saturday, and they invited us down to go, and which was, I mean, that's my point, Parker.
yeah.
They're looking at seventh, eighth, and ninth grade kids and going, if you're really good, come look, give us a look, and we're gonna start talking to you. Like, that's crazy. But that's how you win. And that's why Rhett Lashley's Rhett Lashley right now. I mean, that and his NIL purse is a lot bigger than a lot of everybody else. But it's
Yeah.
crazy, dude.
Again, man, you can't rely on money because that's not going to completely carry you through. But if you have that as a crutch to lean on, in addition to
Mhm.
all the things your program does well relationally and developmentally, then you got something.
Yep.
Got
And they
something.
watch film on everybody. They had 2,600 kids at that camp, and they watched film on every one of them before the camp happened. Every one of them. Before anybody comes in on a visit, doesn't matter what grade they're in, they pull the film out and they get it. Rhett Lashley watches the film, Parker. Like if they before they bring him in, he will sit there and watch. That dude is a workaholic in a
By the
good
way,
way,
quick
in a good way.
refresher for anybody that had forgotten. Y'all know who SMU's general manager is? Former
J.R. Sandlin.
Oklahoma director of recruiting, J.R. Sandlin.
He wanted to be the GM at Oklahoma and got the job at SMU and doing a bang up job there too. So good for them. Um, as far as this weekend goes, Parker, let's talk about the official visits because I
Let's.
think that is, before we close this out, that is probably uh, the most important part of this who is the biggest Bo Bentley? Okay, outside of Bo Bentley, who
Yeah,
is the biggest?
the answer is Bo Bentley. Yeah.
Yeah, outside of Bo
But
Bentley, who's the
outside of
biggest?
Bo Bentley, man, that's an interesting question. I guess it just kind of depends on what you value, what you prioritize, what you want to see OU do well recruiting in this cycle. There's definitely, obviously, some positions where you would like to see OU come away with a good, solid haul. Wide receiver, they got three of them coming in: Dallas Dickerson, Davian Gross, Jaden Petit, all blue chip guys, all dudes with a ton of ability and
Mm-hmm.
great size too, which is what Jim Nagy's looking for. And then linebacker, man, that's the other one I'm looking at. Ja'Cory Smith is going to be there to kind of anchor things as the commit and
Yep.
help peer recruit. But Talanoa Ely, I don't think that recruitment's going OU's way, but he's on the list. And then you got two guys that I think are very much within range for Oklahoma and could very plausibly wind up in the class in Braxton Lindsey and Adam Balogun Ali. And then don't forget about Quebec, Carthage, Texas. I
He was
think,
awesome at Under Armour camp.
yeah, I think OU's gonna. I think they're playing second fiddle to Texas A&M right now in that recruitment, but they get to take their shot at Beck this weekend.
Mm-hmm. I so for me, I think Desmond Green is probably the biggest name on the board for me outside of Bo Bentley. Would you not agree with that? Like as far as just like sheer talent, sheer like he's a dude. Now, do I think OU has a chance with him? I do. How big of a chance? No,
Yeah, I mean, you
that's a
got two
different
guys
question.
coming in this weekend on the offensive line that you do have an excellent chance with: Deacon Schmidt, Noah
Yes.
Best.
No best.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you feel like you're going to get both of those if you're Oklahoma, or at least you feel like you're in a really good spot to get them. Now, SMU has been a thorn in your side, and Noah Best and SMU is a thing.
I like OU to get that one done though. I don't think SMU is going to be able to horn in on Oklahoma's action with Noah Best.
We didn't think that about Azure Miles either.
That
So,
is true. That is true. Can't put
uh,
anything past SMU,
yeah.
but does feel like Oklahoma's holding strong at the top of best recruitment.
Here's the good thing is that you have a chance to have some momentum here because you have Ja'Cory Smith coming in. He's already committed, right? Got Matthew Nelson coming in, who's going to commit to Oklahoma. I think we all kind of
Yeah, I mean,
see that
that
coming.
one's trending very nicely for Oklahoma.
Tyler Ruxer.
You think he commits?
I think Oklahoma has a really good chance to get it. Yes. I don't want to say yes or no there, but I think they have a really good chance to get it. I think Oklahoma's in a really good standing there. I've talked to him on several occasions. He's a great interview. And the fact that he's from Indiana, and here's the thing, he even told me, he goes, look, I'm from Indiana. If the Pacers are playing the Thunder in the finals, if I can somehow meander my way to have one of somebody, because it's within the distance that they can go off campus on the
Oh,
Hooters dime.
yeah, that's right. That
He
would
said,
probably seal the deal, right? You get a kid
that's
a trip to the
exactly his
NBA
words to me.
Finals.
That would seal the deal for him. He goes, I'd be done. I would
Wow.
be done. So, um, I'm just throwing that out there for if any OU coaches watching that. Those are his words, not mine. Now it has to work out. The game's on the 5th, and I believe that Sunday is the second game. So they would have to work it into that 48 hour. Maybe he shows up late and is allowed to roll into Monday before he takes off. That's what you would do if you're Oklahoma. Now, the other guy and the other guy is Noah Best. If you get Noah Best to pop, let's say you get Ruxer, Noah Best, Nelson to pop. You already have Ja'Cory Smith. I think you've got some momentum going there that you could probably get a surprise or two with a Tavion Branch or I don't know, maybe Elijah Golden 4-star defensive
That
lineman.
one's interesting, man.
It is, isn't it?
The
Yep.
Elijah Golden recruitment. It's
Mhm.
winnable for Oklahoma. Very
Very.
winnable.
Yep. Another Florida defensive lineman. So I mean, like, he's got, I believe he's got the Notre Dame visit last, and I think Notre Dame's kind of the school that everybody's looking at. Alabama is on the 13th. But if you can somehow pull that off, I mean, that's just me. I'm just talking about momentum, Parker. Like, that's how you would get the momentum going. Um, the June 10th and 11th visit is the interesting one. T-Ron Richardson. We don't talk about him.
No, I mean he's never been to campus before.
Yep.
And, pretty much keeps to himself. Like that's been a quiet recruitment. It's a it's a possibility though. You know,
Yep.
it's it's another guy at that defensive tackle position that realistically could wind up in Oklahoma's class. I mean, you have Brian Harris on board though, so two spots, two spots, and you figure it.
Potentially three. Potentially three.
You think they could take four total?
I think there's a chance. Yes.
Okay.
I think if those four happen to be Brian Harris, Elijah Golden, Taj Overton, and Valdon Stone, I think you'd take it in a heartbeat. There's no way you say no to that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Zero chance you say no to that.
If those four want to jump, or those three, I suppose, besides Harris, yeah, make
Yep.
it happen.
Yep. So you got to do what you got to do.
What do you think of the Sohn deal right now? What's your pulse on that?
Defensive tackle has been really hard to get a gauge on in this cycle.
It has. Feels like it's that way for quite a while, pretty much every single cycle, or at least it has.
But we knew the 2025 and 20, well, Trent Wilson was a shocker, but 24 we had a really good pulse on that class. But yeah, these last two cycles has been tough D tackle's been tough. DN has too. Like I felt like we were pretty spot on in 2024. 25, yeah, I guess we kind of knew DN in 25, but this class has been tough. I would not have, you wouldn't have, zero chance I would have picked Matthew Nelson to be in the class 3 months ago,
You
right?
didn't
Like,
know who Matthew Nelson was at that
correct.
point.
Yeah. I the Jake Cruel thing with Ohio State making a push is getting interesting. Florida is making a push. I think those are the two teams you've got to contend with right now if you're Oklahoma. I still think Oklahoma gets him because I think that's where he's wanted to go, but I think he's hearing things out.
Yeah.
Ohio State, though, they made a dent. They've made a dent. So we'll see where that goes. Oklahoma gets the last crack at it, and I think that's for the best if you're Oklahoma, honestly. He's been to OU like 6 times. So and that to me, that right there, you're from Florida, you've been to OU 6 times. Like, I'm sorry. We've seen that. And Oklahoma notoriously gets those guys when they get them on campus that much. They usually don't lose. So, anyways. Yeah, it's going to be a big weekend. Oklahoma's got a lot going on. We've got a lot going on. Huge camp on Thursday. We're going to have all that. We've got stuff coming from SMU, stuff coming from the other camps. We're going to have stuff for you guys every day on OU Insider this week. So make sure you're a VIP member. $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. Football season's starting up too. So if you sign up, you're going to get all the football season. You're going to get the Champion Barbecue. You're going to the Party in the Palace in July when OU brings in hordes and hordes of top targets for 26 and 27. The 28, 29 kids and some of the 27 kids come in for the Sooners Under the Stars as well. We're going to have all that for you in July as well. We're going to have insider team information all summer long for you guys. We're going to have the SMU or the SEC Media Days going to be coming up. We're going to have that for you. We're going to have all sorts of information for you guys on OU Insider VIP with a big community. It's fun. Come join us. $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. Also, if you are wanting to lose weight, you are looking to resculpt your body, get on a nutrition binge where you're trying to get away from the old habits and get in with the new. If you're trying to lose maybe or get rid of some scars or maybe a mole or marks on your body, freckles, whatever, that sunspots, you need to go to Refine You Med Spa. That is the place to go, folks. You can give them a call at 405-849-5391, or you can go to refineyookc.com and you can get a free consultation by signing up with them. They are there for you. They have an expertly trained staff that strives to ensure every patient receives personalized treatments plans focused on optimal aesthetic results. The team offers the latest and most popular non-invasive procedures and injectables. If your girlfriend wants Botox or wants the face tightening, they do that for you as well. They do Daxify derma fillers, all that. They do laser treatment, skin tightening. They remove, like I said, they remove skin spots. They help you with nutrition. They've got doctors on hand. They do body sculpting, body shaping. They do everything that you want. Your girlfriend, your wife, it's a great gift for your girlfriend and your wife. Go to Refine You Med Spa in Oklahoma City, named the #1 med spa in Oklahoma City by 405 Magazine for 6 straight years. Again, go to Refine You Med Spa OKC today for a free consultation. Just call 405-849-5391 or go to refineyookc.com. All right, that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. If you're a college student, .edu, military with a email, active duty military with an active duty military email, and you have a .edu, if you're a college student, you email us from the .edu or active duty military email to ouinsider@rivals.com. We'll send you 1 year promo code for $11.95. Again, ouinsider@rivals.com, .edu, email if you're a college student or active duty military, ouinsider@rivals.com. All right, that's going to do it for Parker Thune. My name is Brandon Drum. Y'all have a blessed day.